On this episode, we answer every question you've ever had about compliance.
But wait, Rich, we only have 20 minutes.
On this episode, we answer 20 minutes worth of compliance questions.
There you go.
Atlas All Access starts now.
Here we go.
Kirken at 0450.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, Heather.
Heather, welcome to the War Room.
Welcome to the War Room.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me today.
Are you nervous, Heather? Are you nervous?
A little bit.
It's fine.
No, it's
Compliance
nothing.
usually kind of hides in the back. We're never like
This is true.
on the front.
I don't think you should hide, though, because
No.
it is important.
Right.
And that's why we brought you in here today, is to answer some of our questions. And we had some great questions from some of our people out there that we posted on Facebook. And we're going to try to answer them as best as possible.
Yeah.
And I almost guarantee that this is going to bring up another podcast, because we're going to have a lot. But that's what we're here for, is to answer those questions and be ready for our travelers out there. So thanks, Heather, for joining us, and we're going to make this pretty painful on you. So
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
These are
Not too painful.
very hard questions.
But we got some good questions, so we're ready to answer
We got
them.
lots of good questions. Lots of notes here, too. Look, I color-coded my notes and everything.
That's
so
impressive.
We planned. Okay, so I guess we'll introduce Heather first. Heather Oberg is our Director of Compliance, has been at Atlas for a long time.
Just about 4 years.
Yeah, so, which at Atlas is...
Almost to the beginning.
Yeah, almost in the beginning. So, and you've been doing compliance, so before you came to us, you were doing it for another company, too,
Yep,
right?
I did it for another agency 6 years prior to that, so I have been in it for a while now.
So you probably know what you're talking about.
I hope so, but
Okay.
things are always changing, so.
That is true. That's true. So, okay, so this was Adam's question, and I think, and it came up too in the questions. Run us through the process. So let's say Adam places a nurse.
Yeah. So basically, I place a nurse. You interview. You get offered. Basically, we verbally agree to that. We send you a contract. We send you that background authorization form, and that kind of starts the whole process. We need that background authorization form to start your background. See where you've been. Sometimes it could be counties, states, all those things. Correct, right, Heather?
Yep.
And from that point, obviously, that starts compliance. I send your profile. I send your contract, signed or unsigned, over to Heather or another compliance person, along with your profile, and then she takes it from there. From there, it's really the recruiter's station or part to kind of start collecting things, licenses, social security cards, voided checks, and all those kind of things. Basically, if you have those things ahead of time, we send those over to Heather or the compliance person at that time, and get that going. So sometimes, I know one of the questions I saw in there is, why do I get multiple emails, or why do I see that? Heather or the other person might get some of that stuff, but they kind of have a template of, these are the main things that I need. That thing just might not have got crossed off. Your recruiter might not have put that on the original email, and they didn't see it. So you could have some of those things to get started, but that's kind of the process of where it goes from once you get the offer. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, so once the recruiters are sending the compliance team where you guys are going, the facility, all that information, your start date is set. The compliance team, we are gathering the protocols. We have our Atlas Joint Commission protocol, and we're getting that facility protocol with all the specifics to that facility for the job. So we're combining those lists, and we're shooting out you guys an email with everything that is needed for that assignment.
And Heather, how often, and this might come up a little bit later, but how often are those protocols updated?
A lot of vendors, they will send us an updated protocol every time, but others, it might be yearly. So
Sure.
not all the time are we given the most up-to-date protocol.
Sure.
We try at all costs to get that updated protocol, but there's certain situations where there's some new requirement was added that we might not know about until the process has been started, which also results in
Sure, and this,
emails
yep,
sometimes.
and that makes sense, and that'll come up in
That's
one
actually one of the questions, right?
one of the
is why. So and we'll get to that one. So
Sure.
This first question then kind of plays into that. You know, as you get the process started, it goes from recruiter to compliance person, right? So one of the first questions was, when it comes to labs, physicals, etc., why can't I just go to one place and get everything done? I hate going to multiple places. I would too, right?
Yeah, and that is definitely not our goal to send you guys all around town going to multiple clinics. However, a lot of the clinics just don't do all the services that we need to have done, especially for people that live in remote areas.
I think
a lot
that's
of the times is a big key, like those mask fits, those physicals, some of those, especially the mask fits, they're hard to find in remote locations. So some of those are instances where you may have to go to multiple locations to get certain services done.
Just kind of is how it is, and right?
Yeah.
But we try to match those up.
We try to find a clinic that can provide everything. And then a lot of times what happens is, so let's say you go in for a lab titer, your titer comes back low. Well, at that point you have to go back in and get a booster. So there's really nothing we can do but to send you back to a clinic to get that booster done.
Right.
So and I think what Heather said is that is not our intentions. It's never our intentions on there and to do that. So I think another key point to bring up on that as well, and Heather and I were talking about this earlier this morning, is as a traveler, keep your documents together. I think that's the biggest thing. I know people use Cam Scanner. That's the one I recommend to my travelers. I know there's Google Docs. I know there's a bunch of stuff, but when you go get that mask fit, ask them for a copy.
Right.
Even if they won't give you once they sign it, take a picture with your phone, save it on your Google Docs, save it on your Cam Scanner, and then when you go to that, changing companies is hard, and I think that's the hardest thing. Is somebody else posted on there was like, I just got this done for another company. Why can't you have it? Well, some companies will, some companies won't. But if you take a picture of it, you have that documentation. Even if that lab board tells you it's not your property, you didn't pay for it, you can still take a picture of it before they send it on to your company.
It's still your results, right?
And I, not to boast Atlas, but Rich and the leadership team made a decision a while back that we will give you any information. If you want to leave us for any reason, you need to go take another contract, we will give you that information. I do it all the time with my travelers. I think that's only fair, even if we paid for it or not. We made money off your last contract. Let's give it to you. So
we're sending you guys the results so you can keep those copies.
Right. Right. And those apps that he mentioned. So Google Docs is free. You get 2 terabytes free, which is a lot of space. Right. Cam Scanner is a free app. There's other just like scanner to PDF that you use your phone with, right? And then it turns it into a PDF, and then you can store it. And those are all free that you could use right now.
And also when you're working with your recruiter before you get that offer, we have the option now in our online Atlas portal for you guys to be able to go in there and start uploading those certifications to keep them all there. You can upload your physicals, your mask fits, and so once the compliance starts that process, we can go review those documents and knock off all those things you've uploaded right off that initial email.
And Heather's right. They do go in there and look. Things get missed. There are 600-700 travelers that we're constantly moving through our system. So when people say, I've already sent that in, you very well could have. It got lost somewhere. It's an easy email of, hey, I uploaded it on your system already. Can you go double check and see if it's there? You're not making anybody mad. We're not trying to make you do double the work. It just got missed somewhere. So
it happens. We're all human, right?
Very good.
Next question, why is a 2-step PPD required when I have a quantiferum? Taking so many PPD tests seems silly and excessive. I agree.
It is really true. Our requirement at Atlas is just that 1 TB yearly. We'll accept the quants, the PPDs, the T-spots. However, this is the biggest requirement that varies from facility to facility, and that's what we have to abide by. Most of the facilities now are accepting those quants in place of those 2 PPDs. That's just a trend I've been seeing, that they are starting to accept those. However, even if you've had that quant within a year, facilities might say, well, we want that quant though within 30 days. So then we're at the mercy of that protocol to follow that 30-day guideline or 90 days. Even if you just had one 4 months ago, if they want it within 30 days, we got to send you in there to get that quant again.
And just so everyone's clear, being Joint Commission certified means we set 6 years ago when we were certified for the first time, 6 years ago, that's right. We said, okay, Joint Commission, this is what we're going to do. And we set a list of our protocol, right? We have a list of minimums. And they said, yes, that's right. So they don't tell us to do anything, except for you tell us what you're going to do. And these are your minimums that you accept. Where we run into issues is where the hospital says, this is what we want. And, you know.
Right. And there's also state guidelines that facilities follow for their TB clearances. So like the state of Hawaii, they won't accept the quants or the blood draws right now, so they have to do the PPDs.
Wow.
So, you know, travelers that go there have to do the PPDs, and they want the true 2 steps. So there are certain situations where you still have to do those. But overall, the quants are becoming more acceptable, which should reduce the number of PPDs that you are having to get.
Gotcha.
Good. Great question.
Next one, I have a fit test done within the last year for the same, and for the same mass being required at my new assignment, why must I get another fit test?
I think I can answer this one. Is a lot of times I would guess, and obviously every situation is different, is it was probably 9 months ago, and it is going to expire during some time of your assignment, and so they're just going to set you up with one while you're going in to get your drug screen, while you're going in to get your PPD or whatever it is, and so we're just going to set you up and get that knocked out. Would that probably be a good answer, Heather?
Yeah, for sure. Anything that you can, anything that's going to expire on your 3-month assignment, we want to get that stuff updated, so then you're not having to run around on your assignment to go to the clinic again to get all that stuff updated and make sure that you're staying compliant and not having anything go expired.
Yeah, the situation could be different from what they were asking, but that would be my best guess on that question there.
And I can only speak for us, Atlas, but and I'm sure other companies are like this too. When you have these things done, when you go to the clinic to have these things done, it's our dime, not yours, right? It's Atlas pays for this, not you guys. So get those things done. If you know it's going to expire, do it. Just do it.
Absolutely.
It'll save you a lot of headaches during the assignment, during the contract. Next question. This is an easy one. Why do you have to do a checklist and prophecy testing for every assignment instead of just once a year?
Well, if you stay with Atlas, you only have to do it once a year.
Boom.
The only time that you would have to take a new specialty exam is if you are taking an assignment in a new specialty. So then at that time you might have to be, you would be required to do that specialty exam and possibly a new medication exam.
So that kind of plays into that. Kay Slane asked us a good question here, highway hypodermics. She said, why do you have to do checklists for floors I've never worked, like ICU?
Yeah, and I think I think Kay and I and you talked about this on the podcast when she was in town, and we appreciated her being here and doing that. But a lot of times a facility, if you are an ICU nurse, and let's be honest, you're probably going to float to a step down or a PCU or a tele floor on there, and it's a requirement of the hospital or the vendor that we're sending them to that we get that checklist as well. On there. I know something else that feeds into there as well is a lot of companies use prophecy. We just went to it within the last year or so, and a lot of people say, hey, why, I've already done this for another company, why can't I get it from them? Well, if they'll give it to you, you can save that PDF, am I correct, from FlexCare or somebody else, and can we submit that, or is that incorrect, Heather?
No, so we do require you, if you to log in under our account information and to do it under our situation, just for checks and balances, no falsification of PDF records for those exams.
Sure, sure.
So Adam was wrong.
I'd admit that I was wrong. I will say that I think I can submit that nurse with that. But once once it comes to compliance, that's why you are doing it. That's why you are doing it again.
It's not like a universal login where all of us can just search the name of the database. Every company has.
Each company is paying, and I don't even know what it is, $1 a user or whatever that price is.
Slightly more.
They want their money, and that essentially at the end of the day, that is why we can't use those other records, is because prophecy wants their money. So easy as that.
So I can answer this next one, because this is a choice that we made a long time ago when we set up kind of the structure here at Atlas. Why does my compliance person have to change every assignment? All right. So Steve and I had been at another agency where the compliance person followed the nurse, right? And that there are synergies between the compliance person and that nurse that the compliance person in the hospital that exists after multiple placements. They just get better. They learn. The compliance person gets better. They get to know the compliance person on the other end at the hospital. It gets easier.
Correct.
So anything we could do to make that process easier, we did, and so that's why that person could change.
Yes. Well, and I think as well as we go back to those protocols that Heather and them have from each hospital, if it's hard enough for them, they might have 50 to 100 hospital protocols that they are following at one time. And then so if you have that nurse that's going from one region to the next to the next to the next, to know those, there's a lot of hospitals that I bet Heather knows, oh, I got a placement at this A hospital, I need this, and this. It's an easy email out to that person. And that's, I think that's the way they set it up to make everybody successful in that situation.
That's exactly right.
So
okay, this is gonna be awesome. You have dates of my Hep B series and my titers. Why do I always have to get a declination form to sign for Hep B, and nowhere does it indicate it's been done already?
Okay, well, our Hep B decline, as an employer, we do have to offer the hepatitis B to it. So even though we have our records, we have just the declination form, and I actually have it right here so everyone can see. And the option is for you on the third option here that you can complete when you've had the vaccination or your titers done. Again, going back to facility-specific protocols, sometimes they have their own hepatitis B declination, so they're sending us their version of their form too that may differ in the way that they have them.
So what percentage of facilities accept our form in this state?
Most of them. I mean, the majority of them will accept them.
So Heather, when you do send those out, even if somebody sends you proof of a Hep B series or getting that, do you still have them sign the form just for future purposes?
Just for future purposes, so we just have the decline on file. Like anything that we can get up front to make our file the most compliant, that's what we're...
Yeah, and I think what Heather, they're doing in their compliance team is if you at one hospital you have one that's facility form, and then the next one you can just have a decline form. We already have that. It's one less thing that you're doing on your next compliance issue there.
Right.
Yep.
Very cool.
This one, I'll answer this one too. So this caused quite a discussion on the when I asked the question. Do you require a nurse to have malpractice insurance, or do you cover them? The easy answer, and this could be a whole separate podcast, and I would love to have other nurses weigh in on this, on how they feel. The easy answer for us is no. Our insurance covers that. We pay. Every agency carries insurance that covers you. You do not have to carry your own insurance. If you want to, you can. It's fine. I've heard, and it was on there. It's inexpensive, $130 a year.
Okay, I was curious going back.
Yeah.
I saw the $130. I didn't know if that was a month, a year, or what that was.
I did a little asking, and it turns out that's right on. That's a pretty good average.
Kind of sounds like rental insurance.
Insurance.
If it was $135 a month, I'd be like, man, like that's crazy. $10 a month. I don't think it's a horrible idea, but the answer at the end of the day is we have to have that insurance to be a staffing agency.
Yeah, it's required for us. It is not required for you. So last question, and this is a good one, and I almost wonder if this is going to phase out, over as time goes on. Why do you need a copy of my degree/diploma from the school where the states have granted me a nursing license?
Well, this is all just about checks and balances again. Like we have to match up your resume. We verify your education through a third-party vendor, and then they're also requesting across the board now, pretty much facilities want that copy of your diploma and transcripts. And like I said, it's all just about checks and balances. They want to make sure that everything we're verifying is all matching up. And especially for first-time travelers, before you leave your home, make sure you're getting a good copy of that diploma or your transcript so you have it on file so you can send that over when needed.
Once again, quick picture.
Take a picture.
You have it.
Picture,
it's there and good.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, Heather, thank you. That was awesome. I think we could probably do another 20 minutes of this.
I think so. Leave your comments. If we didn't answer your question, or you have more questions, we can make Heather come back as much as she doesn't probably want to. But I think great answers. I think people have a good idea of why we do that. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.